Today on the Tim Marner podcast show, I've got our Holly Smith from the Phlebotomy Centre. What's a phlebotomist?
Somebody who takes blood for a living.
That's it. That's all a
That's
phlebotomist is.
Yeah.
And why is it so specialised? Because I've had bloods taken before, and having bloods taken with you, like I don't even feel it. The experience is so different. What is it? What is the training that makes it so?
Basically, it's understanding what you're actually doing. A lot of phlebotomists are taught to see somebody else do it and then do it themselves. But they're not taught reasons why to do it in the way we should, or what could go wrong if you don't do it in the right way. So for us, we teach a lot more about the theory behind it, the anatomy, how to get a really good blood draw first time, and actually how to stop pain, how to stop the bruising. You know, as patients, we expect we're going for a blood test, we're going to get a bruise. And we shouldn't get a bruise, because if you do it in the right way, you won't.
What is the right way? How do you do that then? What's the
vein finding?
Right, talk to me about vein finding.
So if I try to take your blood and I'm taught the standard way of just putting it in the middle of your arm and then turning it left and right and having a bit of a dig until you hit the vein, we spend more time bringing the vein to the surface so that we literally just enter the tip of that needle through the skin and you're in the vein. There's no searching. There should be no movement of the needle. There should be no going in and then going in further. It's literally bring the vein to you so you've got a target and then put that needle in. But a lot of people don't do that. Knowing how to put a tourniquet on properly and bring up a vein so that it's literally just below the skin so that you can feel it well. You don't need to see it, but you need to feel it well. And then just putting the needle in, just that tip. I think a lot of people are damaged or get bruising or all kinds of things like hitting tendons, arteries, all the things that could drastically go wrong can all be prevented if you just spend more time with the vein, bringing it to the surface.
How long's the Phlebotomy Centre been around then? How long have you had it?
It will be 8 years in April. 8 years, yeah.
In the centre of Bolton?
Yes, the joys of Bolton. Yeah, so we've been going 8 years. The physical clinic in Bolton has been, I think, 3 or 4 years. So we opened around the COVID time, but chose not to open to the public until after COVID had settled, just to not kind of be associated with the COVID pandemic.
Why did you choose phlebotomy in the first place?
Personal
thing to...
Yeah, my background is education, teaching people, teaching adults. So I've come from an education background, but then I had my first child, the trauma that you endure with your first child, and I got really ill. So I got sepsis and was just really unwell. I still find it quite difficult to talk about this part, actually. I wasn't expecting that. But because I got so unwell and it was blood related, I think just my natural background in education, I wanted to know why, what made me ill, you know, what happens if you get sepsis, what is the impact? Is there going to be long-term impacts, you know?
What is sepsis?
So it's an infection in the blood, but it's life-changing, you know, you can be really, really poorly and it actually happens really quickly. So you can feel okay, feel a bit under the weather, and then all of a sudden you start to feel really worse really quickly. So yeah, I got ill, and then I talked to people, you know, people that were taking my blood. I started talking to them in hospital and learning about what they were doing and why they were testing it. And I think just a natural interest in education and knowing when things went wrong, what caused it, really just opened my eyes a little bit into the phlebotomy industry. And then a few weeks later, I had another blood test, and the actual procedure wasn't done correctly, so I became unwell again. And that then really sparked an interest into...
How was it not done correctly?
I think a contaminated needle. So the person that did the blood test used a needle, went to use a needle, but doubted herself, lost the vein, she couldn't find it, she couldn't see it any longer. So instead of disposing of the needle, getting a fresh one, feeling the vein again, like we would expect, the needle was placed on a surface, which was obviously contaminated. Then she picked it back up when she got her confidence again and found the vein and used the same needle. So yeah, because I'd already been unwell, it just exacerbated everything. I think for the first year of my daughter's life, it was just illness. You know, you lost that bonding time with your child. You lost that, I don't know, maybe your natural instincts. They didn't kick in as quickly as I would have, well, or what I would have been expecting after childbirth. So it just delayed that process. So I think that was quite hard to, if it wasn't for those things, I would have had that. So I feel a little bit like, you know, you've lost out a bit there.
You still feel like that now?
I do and I don't. I think I'm at a different stage in my life now where I think actually if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have what I have now. So I wouldn't have the business. I wouldn't have something that I bloody love. You know, my passion for my business is, it totally changed my life. I have something that not only is it just mine, but it's something I care about. And the amount of patients I have come in that are literally black and blue, top of the arm to the hand, black and blue, and they talk about these terrible experiences they've had just from having a blood test. If you think every single person that goes to the doctors and they start investigating an illness has to have a blood test, and I'm going to say 80% of our patients that come to us have had a bad experience.
Wow.
Why is this still happening? You know, with everything else in healthcare, if blood testing is the first step in any diagnostic procedure, that needs to be right. You know, we have patients that come in and say they've been in last week, they've come back again 2 weeks later because the results were not accurate. The bloods couldn't be tested, or there's something gone wrong, or I have to come back and have another one. But nobody's asking why. Why is that sample not good enough to be tested and for you to get a diagnosis? And a lot of the times it comes back where it's the phlebotomist or whoever's taken the blood, not just phlebotomist, but they've not, for example, done the correct order of the blood bottles. Each bottle's got a different colour and they need to be done in a specific order. If that's not done, that will impact the blood results. So it's a lot of little bits of information that sound really obvious but are not being taught correctly. And the impact of leaving a tourniquet on too long, you know, the things that we just don't know about. It's not common knowledge. And I think if people are being taught by seeing one and then doing one, they're not being given the skills that they need. Every phlebotomist I know who does the job wants to do it well. They want to be good at it. They want to be the best at what they do. But they're not equipped with the knowledge to do it. Thankfully, a lot of people are, but there's a huge percentage of people that are not. And that just comes down to the training, whether that's their employer or the emphasis on getting it right first time, causing less damage to the patient. There's just not enough knowledge about it. So that's what we're trying to change very slowly, 8 years later. But it's a huge field.
Yeah, it's just, how do you change that then? Obviously, you know, I think you're going to have to sort of step up a little bit, aren't you? And obviously, you know, doing podcasts is the way of...
A lot of it is awareness. I think, like anything, you know, if you don't know about it, how on earth are you meant to get it right? So a lot of it is education. So yeah, our courses that we do, we've got 5-star reviews on them. People go on from having no experience whatsoever, no clinical background, nothing, to being fantastic phlebotomists. And that is proof in education works. So yeah, from my perspective, awareness, educating people, giving them that, just those little bits of information that will just change a patient's perception and change the patient's experience of having their bloods done.
This is a random question.
Go on.
But if you're a phlebotomist, can you actually do IV treatments? Are you qualified to do IV treatments as well?
No, not without training.
Right.
No. Phlebotomists are...
just taking blood,
extracting the blood out of the body. Anybody else who injects something requires different training.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so it's totally different fields. You get a lot of clinical, people who work in clinical practice who may have done ECGs, they might have done other clinical things because they've been trained to do it. And then they go on to train in phlebotomy and, you know, they do it really well. But most of the time, if you're brand new, we've trained people that have been gardeners. They've hit the pandemic and gone, I can't do the job that I'm supposed to do, or they've had a family bereavement or anything like that. And they've looked into jobs that they can do without having to go to uni, college, you know, go back and get any qualifications that they may have missed. Phlebotomy is that job. You don't need to have that experience. You just need an employer that will take the opportunity and take you on board and train you whilst on the job. So having a course and already knowing the information will get you that interview. That'll get you through the door to say, I've taken it upon myself to do a course. I know what I'm talking about. Here's what I know. And there's a job available with you. I really want it. So a lot of practitioners either do phlebotomy as well as other things, but phlebotomists themselves will only extract blood. They won't do any other treatments.
Have you seen a sort of influx of, because I feel like there's a shift since the pandemic and everyone trying to look after the health and, everyone's, TRT and everyone's like looking at sort of the inside and how it works. Can you see a bit more of a shift?
Massively.
Massive.
The biggest thing I've seen a shift in is men being tested privately. I don't know if it's maybe an older fashioned thing, I don't know, but that blocker in ringing the doctors, explaining all your symptoms and telling them you're feeling unwell or you're just a bit off.
Yeah.
I think a lot of men use our service because you literally just choose the test that you want. You can read a list of symptoms. You go, actually, that's how I'm feeling. That's the test I need. You can go and have the appointment, 10 minutes max, and then you get your results.
Yeah, that's why I did it with you.
Simple.
That's why I had my blood test.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I went to a doctor, my energy levels were low. I'm like, look, I'm not right. I mean, I went in, he saw me for about 7 minutes, diagnosed me with depression.
Straight on
I'm like,
antidepressants.
mate, I'm not depressed. And I think I got a little bit angry because I was tired.
Yeah.
I got a bit angry with him, snapped and just left. And I thought, I need to set this on myself now.
Yeah, and that's what the position that a lot of people are put in. Because also, we all know that doctors, surgery, everyone's overrun, underfunded. But that shouldn't affect you if you're feeling unwell or you're not quite feeling yourself. If you can, get tested. Learn what your symptoms are, track them over a period of time if you need to. But if you're not quite feeling right, you can get answers in black and white on a piece of paper that tells you, for example, your testosterone's low or your vitamin B12 is low. Or you can supplement those things.
I got that blood test off you. I copied it, pasted it into ChatGPT, AI, and I went, right, okay, give me a summary of what I need to do. Boom, and he just broke it all down for me.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And although we shouldn't be diagnosing ourselves, but those types of things, that changes your life.
To go to a clinic or go somewhere to say, look.
And if something came back that you can't manage without medical intervention, then you also know that. You can go to your GP and say, actually, this is what I've been feeling. This is the results. This is what my diagnostic blood tests are telling me I'm deficient in this, or I've got an issue with my liver, or I've got an issue, anything. And then they can sort it out. They haven't got to go through that investigation process. You haven't got to go and explain you're feeling like this and be told it's depression. Because a lot of times it's not that. Hundreds of women that come to us for menopause treatment, blood testing to trace their hormone levels. These women have been going to the doctors for 15 years, some of them, and they're still on the antidepressant route. Why is that happening now? Literally, do your bloods, get your results, know what you're deficient in, and then you can either go private and get the treatment straight away. You could be sorted within a week. Compared to that constant process of going back to your GP and complaining about your symptoms, because there's not enough emphasis on just fixing it. Unless you were really seriously ill, in which you'd end up in A&E or you'd end up going to hospital, there's no preventative measure. Some of our patients that are fit and healthy, they come in, year out. Every single year they have the same test, and all they say is, I've got a copy of my results from 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, and I can see a decline. I know that next year they're going to be lower if I don't do something about it. So why not have that record of your health and then do something about it quicker than getting to the point in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, where you feel so rough and so bad that maybe you can't go to a doctor then and explain, actually, this has been going on for 4 or 5 years. You can literally just map it out and you can see that decline, or possibly an incline, whatever the thing is you're looking for. But it just feels so, there's no preventative measure. Nobody wants to get unwell. So if you can track it and monitor it, and even if you're fit and healthy, there's things that I didn't know about my own health until I tested myself regularly and saw the pattern. And now I know my liver's gone. I know this information and I can do something about it. I can change my lifestyle. I can lose however much weight I've lost in the last 2 years.
What is that?
4.5 stone.
Fuck me, mate.
Yeah. To be fair, though.
Yeah. You might get into that.
I might get into
that. She's lost 4 stone.
Yeah.
What's your go-to then, Hol? What's your go-to for people? Is it Medichecks or is it coming straight to you? What would you recommend someone to kind of go, you know what, after listening to this podcast with Tim and Ollie, I want to take a stand now and I want to know. What would you say for them to do?
Obviously, I'm the business owner, so I'm going to say come to us.
Yeah.
But actually, on a personal level, I would say whatever test suits your symptoms best. If we don't offer something that suits you, go for Medichecks.
So people can come to the Phlebotomy Centre, go, Holly, I want a fucking ultimate lardy-dardy, want to look at 151 blood markers.
We've got it.
Right, you've got it.
The difference between us and Medichecks is that we don't charge you for your appointment. You'll get your results straight to your email. There's no interpretation. Nobody's telling you a script that you get with the Medichecks test results. You know, if something's low, it'll tell you how you can change your lifestyle. But that might not be specific to you. You might not drink a load of alcohol and therefore your liver's damaged because of that. It might be hereditary. It might be genetic. It might be medication you're taking that's impacting your liver.
Yeah.
A lot of the commentary or interpretation.
Those doctors' notes at the top seem
they're very generic.
Cookie cutter, don't they?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
So what happens is if your blood test results with them fall within a certain range, they can kind of predict that, you know, on average, most people might drink too much. They might do certain things in their lifestyle that gives them that result. But actually, they don't know your lifestyle. You might be a non-drinker, you know, I'm only talking about liver because it's the easiest topic, but you might not do those things in your lifestyle and you're left thinking, well, what else can I change? What else do I do now? So rather than that, know your levels and think about your lifestyle and how to change it for yourself. So main difference is we don't charge for the appointments. You can buy a test off our website, book an appointment the next day, come and have your bloods done, and depending on what test you have done, you could have your results in 24 hours. Make a change.
Make a change.
That should be my new slogan.
Yeah, it should be. The Phlebotomy Centre.
Yeah.
So those results, mate, how do they get? Are they printed out? Are they in an email? Are they on
whatever the patient prefers? So when you book your appointment, you can choose email, PDF, or letter in the post, whichever way. We're very flexible. You know, in some ways, we're a small business. You know, if a patient says, actually, I want it in this format, or I want you to send it to a clinic that I'm having private treatment with, that's fine. As long as the patient decides that, it's fine.
If I get that information from you, or I want to know a little bit more about them, what would my next step be once I've got that information from you?
Once you've got your results, we would refer you to either, depending on your wishes, we would recommend that you go and speak to your GP, and here's the letter and the report to go with it. Or some of the partners that we've developed over the last few years, we might have, for example, a private nutritionist that we can refer you to, that you can go and see, book an appointment with them, and they can support you with that. It might be hormone related, so we work with a number of hormone treatment centres. So depending on the test and depending on what you're being treated for, we give you all the options. Go to your GP and we provide you with a letter of recommendation that they investigate. Or choose a private route. Depends whatever you feel comfortable with. If you've been to your GP 5 times and it's not making any difference and you're having that same conversation trying to prove that you're not feeling well, what's the point? If you can do it, go private. And actually, a lot of it's controversial because, you know, we're very pro-NHS and I am too. You know, on one side, they may have risked my life, but on the other side, I've got 2 beautiful children and in some ways they've saved my life. So I'm very pro-NHS. I wish it could be better funded. I wish it could be, you know, all the things, singing and dancing like we've been promised for years. Yeah. But in reality, when it's your health and your life and, you know, if you've got the option to choose a quicker, faster, easier route to get treatment, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? You're not taking away from anything. You're investing your money in your own health. So yeah, that's my answer to that question. You know that probably wasn't asked.
No. It's so interesting, isn't it? Because it's like, you know, obviously people see the Phlebotomy Centre. Yeah. But you're so much more than that, really. Because you're not just taking blood. You're looking at each individual person coming in and what's right for them.
And that's mainly, you know, because I wanted that. Yeah. I wanted somebody to say, when I got ill for the first time...
Yeah, I can see you. It's like someone saying, I can see you.
Yeah. I rang the doctor so many times and I told them I feel like I'm dying. I felt unwell. And actually I'd had a cesarean, emergency C-section, and so much went wrong in it that I ended up with, I'm going to say, let's say suture material left behind. And that triggered everything. But for 7 days, I felt like I was dying. And I had to try and prove to the doctor, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. And then you feel like you're not believed. And you've just had a baby. In fact, the doctor, I remember the GP's words to me. He said, you've just had major surgery. This is how you're supposed to feel. So I thought it was normal. I thought I should feel that ill. And I shouldn't. There was something wrong. So then to top it off with the blood experience, you can't. If I'd have left it first time round another 3-4 days, gone.
Gone, ski.
Dead. And that's the speed that things can change. So if you've got that choice, you've got that option, and you've got a bit about you that says, actually, my health is more important than what somebody else is telling me I feel, don't take the chance. What's the point?
So do you feel that experience is attached to your purpose as a business?
Yeah.
Do you feel that is...
Yeah, 100%. That is why I found it quite difficult. I know you said at the beginning, how do we get this message out? And I find it difficult. I'm human, I'm a 33-year-old woman with 2 young kids. I find it difficult to speak about the things that have impacted my health, because actually, in the back of my mind, there's so many other mothers that have had really traumatic experiences, and they seem to be doing all right. So why am I feeling this way? So through the business, I want to try and make those changes, and that's the passion. I've literally given my life to it now. That's it. This is what my kids are going to be handed down with when they're older. But it's very difficult to get that message across when you're still processing it, and you're still going through it yourself. I don't think I won't ever overcome it. It's always going to be there. But using it as a driver is different to letting it fester. So yeah, it is the backbone of the business.
Should we talk about Holly?
Wow, you went all in there, didn't you?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It just
Go on. Who's that?
I don't know. Who was that?
Who was that? That was somebody who was maybe taught that she didn't have any self-worth. And maybe she didn't have a voice. She didn't have an opinion. And only facts matter. If it's not a fact, it's emotion, and that's bad.
Really?
Yeah, facts all the way. You can't actually have a life. I don't know if you knew this.
No.
You can't have a life if what you say isn't a fact.
Just tell people what we're talking about, right? So
personal experiences.
At the age of what, you converted?
Yeah.
I know you've not talked about this.
I've never talked about this, no. I only told my parents last year. Hi, Mum and Dad. I met a man and fell in love.
Are we saying man?
We could say man. We could say other things, but we'll stick to man.
Okay.
I met somebody and head over heels. You know the normal relationship progression where you meet somebody, convert to Islam, marry a man, and move into his family home within 6 months.
Love it. Yeah.
That experience was fantastic.
Yeah, that's the Holly I know.
That's the Holly I was. That was fun. Very, very quickly. I was maybe a bit naive. I was maybe very naive.
How old were you?
19 when I met him. Yeah. 20 when I converted and married him. But it was only, November, August, November, 2 months after I met him. 3 months maybe at a push. I went through a lot of changes in my life. I didn't live near my family. I moved up north for university, got a part-time job, met him in the part-time job, quit uni, started working there, and then entered the relationship and lived unhappily ever after. So that was an experience.
Does that smell of a film, mate?
It is a bit mad. When I speak about it now,
mad.
Yeah, I play it down because
When's
I
the last
thought...
time you sort of verbalised it, apart from what did your mum and dad said when you told them? When did you tell them?
Last year? First time he met my dad, he asked if he could marry me. So my dad was a bit taken aback by that. Do you know what? I'll always feel very guilty over not being honest with my parents from the off. The signs were all there. They saw the signs. Everybody saw the signs.
What are the signs? What are the signs?
The speed.
Right.
The speed in which you can change your entire person.
Your whole identity.
Everything changed. Yeah. But also the secrecy, you know, being told that if you do... And maybe it wasn't overtly. Nobody ever said to me, if you tell your family this, you know, things are going to be bad. But it's that trickle of subtle feeling as though you can't talk to the people that love you the most. Feeling as though you can't do that because there's subtle influences preventing you from doing that. It makes things very confusing because you feel guilty. You feel to blame for not being honest and speaking out and saying to your family, actually, I only met him a few months ago, but we're getting married. What do you think about that?
What were you telling them?
That I was very, very happy. This is the man I want to be with. Although there are red flags and you know, I could spot in them. They were thinking that. Although you might see that, I promise you it's not that. I promise you there's nothing odd about this. But yeah, in reality, it wasn't that at all. And it, like I said, it was never covert. I would always say now on reflection, it was a very overt relationship. It was very subtle. They would make you think that you're the one that's making all these choices and decisions when actually in reality, within 6 months, there was less of a family connection to my own family. There was more isolation. You know, I'd sold my car. I didn't have that access to things that I would have done. You know, before I moved up north, I lived in Cornwall, lived in a tent on a campsite for a good, 3 or 4 months, just enjoying my life as a teenager, you know, enjoying the summer before I went to uni. So that shift, I never recognised how much of a big shift that was to then end up changing me entirely.
Well, were you sort of like lost in your identity back then? Because I can't see that, because it seems like you were quite happy, your mum and dad, and you were cool, happy. And you're like, you know, your outdoors life and stuff. You're pretty solid in your identity. You're quite a headstrong person.
Yeah, I was.
How did that happen then in that way?
I think, looking back, I was always the person that I had fantastic friends at school. They were maybe louder than I was, maybe more confident than I was, and I kind of always felt that maybe I wasn't as good, as outgoing, I'd love to be like my friends, even to this day, to be fair, they are cool as fuck. But I didn't feel that inside, and actually I don't know why. I don't know why that is. I've got a fantastic family. They're very liberal, they're very open, they travel. I would say to this day, my mum and dad, their relationship together is what I always wanted. They only got married 4 years ago, but have been together 40 odd years. Because they had their experiences. They came from a Protestant and Catholic family. They met each other very young. They left that. They never influenced any religion. They'd always say to me, it's your choice. You know, their role wasn't to influence me in religion, politics. You know, I don't even know now what politician my dad supports. I wouldn't have a clue. Because he would instill that it's up to me to make that choice. You live your life and then you make your choices. But I think in some ways maybe that lack of, you know, when you see other families who are very tight-knit or that appear very tight-knit and they have that structure. Yeah. My parents were pretty cool.
Yeah, shout out to Mrs. Smith.
Yeah. We'd go to festivals, you know, they were just very open and they are now. But they've maybe got a more protective side of me now. But they recognise, they can see in the last 2 years the growth. And I do now. Maybe not 6 months ago, but I do now.
Yeah, I could tell last time I saw you. I was just like, shit, man. You was like, your whole energy had changed. I'm like,
yeah. Well, you met me, a year before?
Was it 2 years?
No, it was when I was pregnant.
That?
Yeah. When things were bad, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a huge change.
What did your mum and dad say when you told them?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah?
Yeah. My dad actually said to me when I told them last year about converting to Islam, and obviously they never knew about that. They always suspected it. I mean, I stopped eating meat. I bloody love bacon now, by the way. But I stopped eating meat and said I was vegetarian. But it stopped the separation between, you know, if we went home for a family meal and doing a Sunday roast, well, they'd do another option so that I knew that he was catered for.
You couldn't even have a Sunday roast.
I haven't had a Sunday, yeah. Grim, isn't it? That's like the worst part of it all, to be honest. But I would protect him at all costs.
Right.
The way he felt, the way he was, the way he needed things to be. And that obviously wasn't the right choice. And actually, when you have kids, it changes your perspective. I think I became a lot more aware, especially after I had my first child. Mm-hmm. You become more protective. You get that instinct. You get that. I see what I want my daughter to grow up as, mm-hmm. and who she could be, and who she would, go on to have a relationship. And it scared me, the thought of her being like me. Terrified me. Not now. But when you go through that, it absolutely terrified me, the thought of, I've got 2 girls and they're going to be like me. And that's a pretty grim thing to think of a mother, yeah.
Yeah.
But only because I want them to grow up with confidence. I want them to grow up with, nobody controls you. Yeah, they might be 2 and 8, but they're their own people. Nobody controls you. We talk, we laugh, we dance, we play. And that's all. It's all good. It's all okay. It's all very normal. It's all you need. Yeah, nobody's there to control you though. I want them to see that resilience. And actually, me agreeing to. I know you invited me for a podcast a while back, I think. And I just thought I can't. I'm not there. And now, I just think, fuck you. Absolutely, fuck you. That whole narrative of me being this weak, crazy, it's not true. I am me now. I hike, I camp, I do all the things that I've always done, and I'm back. So will my girls. yeah. And they will always have that side of them. The children will always have 2 families. Yeah. They are loved in both. They are supported, I hope, in both. But they are their own people, and as they grow up, they will choose. The more you control, the more you lose them. If they are free, they're independent, they have a voice and a thought process of their own, they'll be amazing. They already are. But they'll be even more amazing if they just have that contrast between what's normal and what's not, what's healthy and what's not. You can't break somebody's heart but then buy them something to make up for it.
Yeah, I've been there.
It doesn't work.
No.
Yeah.
It's not what love is it?
No. It's just manipulation. Bit of love bombing chucked in there. You support them, you talk to them, make sure they feel heard. That's all you need to do.
How did you get out?
He left. He did it himself.
Really?
Yeah. Left me a little letter inside and off he popped. But congratulations, he's happily remarried very quickly after. So I've read a quote the other day that said, when people separate, watch the person who glows up and the person who enters another relationship really quickly. Something along those lines. It's not the exact quote, obviously, because it's too long. That'd be a shit quote, wouldn't it?
It didn't rhyme,
no,
Molly.
It didn't even flow. In my head it did. I can't remember the words of it. But the point of it was, watch the people who react in a certain way.
Yeah.
It shows, and it will always show. I wouldn't need to say anything. I just need to be me, and it would show. So anything that is said against that, everybody's got their own experience, but that one's not mine, and it never will be again. So I'm well and truly happy and enjoying my free time when I don't have the children.
What if he hadn't done that, would you still have been in it?
I'd have probably killed myself.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, it's the one thing he used against me. I had postnatal depression after my first child. How my hands up, absolutely did. I had a traumatic birth experience, and I think most women would, relate that it's traumatic. No matter how much you prepare, it's traumatic. But when you combine that with somebody who is not good for your life, you end up on this slippery slope of being told that you're the problem.
So he's emotionally abusing you while you're in that state?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever confirmed that.
Why have you never confirmed that?
Because I'm not weak. It makes, if I confirm that that's what's happened.
But it's not weak saying it, Ollie.
No, but if I confirm that that's what happened,
you give power to it.
Yeah. He hasn't had any impact on me. Jokes, he did. But I don't like the thought of confirming that that's what happened, because I also take responsibility that I stayed. You know, there were many opportunities I could have left. I told him I was leaving many, many times. But then you got the, you know, things will change. You know, I wanted to move back home when I had my first child. I'd been through a tough experience. Yeah, we'll sell the house, we'll move. And then a few months down, you get hooked back in, a few months down the line, but we can only move within 5-10 miles of Radcliffe. So actually, although you've been hooked back in, you've now got a restriction on you again. There's no chance I was going to go back home. It was never going to happen. And there were so many occasions like that. I'm up and leaving. But over time, that changes to you being strong and saying, this isn't working, I'm going to leave, to that circling back round where they hook you back in. But the longer that goes on for, it twists. You are depressed. You are at your lowest. And then they use that against you. So I know, obviously, divorce, you go through the court process, that kind of stuff. That was the one thing that was used against me. The fact that I was at a breaking point, I was at the lowest of my low. And that's, in one narrative, it's because I'm crazy, I'm this, I'm that. But actually, in reality, I've spent 12 years just being picked away at.
Fucking 12 years.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. So I've known him, obviously I've got an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old, but I've known him now, 13 years maybe. 33, I can't do maths, so somewhere around that. Yeah, but when you're constantly chipped away at, you don't see it. It's not like somebody walks in the door and punches you in the face. You see it then, you know it.
Yeah.
It's this constant chip away at who you are, what you are. You could have a conversation, and if it's not said in the right way, you're saying it wrong. So the next time you try and have a conversation about how you feel, you say it in the way they've told you to say it. And then that's still wrong because the content of what you're saying isn't right. And you just slowly lose yourself. But to go through that and be at the lowest of the low, and then for that to come full circle and be used against you when it's about the children and who the children live with and what's best for the children, is soul destroying. There isn't a thing in this world I wouldn't do for those girls. Not a single thing. Nothing. But when that's used against you because they know they put you there, and that's what people hear about and that's what people see. You know, she's this crazy, whatever. Move on, mate. Move on with your life. Be a good dad, because we share beautiful children. That's all you need to do in life. That's it. I don't need to hear from you. We don't need to talk. We don't need to have any interaction. Nobody wants any interaction. Just be a good parent. And the kids will thrive. It's not really rocket science when you say it out loud.
When did you get your fire back? Could you remember the time you got your fire back? Was there a moment where you were like...
Yeah, there was. Well, it could go two ways now. Let's go for the way that I told myself I wasn't going to say. First time I slept with someone else. That first time where I did the thing that I never thought would ever happen, it broke that last bit of emotional connection. And I realised then that what I'd experienced was not love. It was just pure trauma bond. And I started learning about trauma bonds. I started learning about the impact of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, trauma bonding.
And I realised for myself the physical connection is what I thought, because at the beginning, within that first 6 months, you're on fire. Yeah. You know, you've got really strong chemistry. They marry you, and it disappears, gone. And it's like, whoa, we were up here. How did that happen? But that's manipulative. That makes you feel like you're always trying to. You've got to eat healthy. You've got to be this. You've got to lose weight. You're trying to be something, but you're never ever going to reach that expectation. So that first time, and I know it's crude, but I mean everybody does it. Yeah. That physical connection with somebody else had changed. And I literally spent the weekend. I mean, what was that? August 2 years ago, I think. Can't remember. But I remember I went out with my friends and I had a really good night. And I just felt, actually, this was me. I'm not scared. I don't need to go home. I don't need to explain myself. I can just be me. And as soon as that physical connection was broken, that was it. I realised that there was no love there at all. I've never sat and wept over the fact that we're not married. I've never sat and wept that he's not here. I've sat and cried because I realised I let that happen to myself. But nothing to do with him. Because if somebody can do that to their children, that's not love. Closing bank accounts, eating from food banks, all of it. We've done all of it. It's no sob story. Could have asked for help if I wanted to, but you're not in that stage at that time to ask for help. You don't feel like you deserve help from other people, so.
You don't feel like you deserve help?
No, not at the time. Not when you're in that. No, but yeah, ever since I realised that it wasn't love, that's not normal. What I experienced wasn't normal. It changed everything. Absolutely everything. But you mentioned you experienced a trauma bond as well.
Yeah, ages ago, like my 20s and 30s, it was all about trauma bonding, because I hadn't got a clue who I was. Dicing with my own identity, who am I and stuff, and you want a little bit of safety, so you choose safety, and that that person's not right for you, but
it's consistent.
You just as I've got older into my 40s, I've changed who I am, and found somebody who just it's just about love, man. Yeah. It's just like
happiness,
fucking
fun,
hellfire. Yeah. Like dancing in the front room and like going on hikes and all this, no controlling, just elevating each other. You're like shit.
100%.
Like, sick, man.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't put something on somebody else that you're not prepared to do yourself.
No, but I know it's a bit cliche, but like you've got to love yourself first before you let anybody else in your life. And I just wondered, because I remember when I got my fire back, and I wondered when you got yours back, because there's important parts in there where you get that. Oh shit, I'm back.
You do. It for me, it was definitely the physical connection. We talked about weight earlier. I lost weight. I felt comfortable in myself.
Yeah.
I think at first I felt a bit like used goods. I've had 2 kids. Who's going to want that? But actually,
which is normal, isn't it? Eh?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with thinking that.
No, but actually,
when somebody finds you physically attractive just for you, and it's just
yeah, it changes everything. But actually, I went through that bit of a rebellious stage, living a little bit, getting out and about. It's not even rebellious, it's just being normal. Let's be honest. Yeah. Going out every other Saturday is actually normal, isn't it? But yeah, the more I did that, I have to say now, I have friends. I have people that I live near that I see every day, see every weekend. I have friends. I have people who see it. And that is so validating. As soon as I started to speak and actually explain and not protect, I have friends now. And, I had the option to move back home. I'm going through divorce, selling the house, hopefully moving next week. But I had that option to move back home. But actually my business is here. I've built a life here. I've been here for this long. And now add that into the fact that I now have friends. I have a support group, people that will say, if you need anything, let me know. And actually I'm at that point where I go, do you know what, I really need help right now. The kids have gone to bed and I haven't got any milk left. Please can someone help? Because I can't leave the house. I have those people around me, and my family are just, I can't fault them. They are so supportive. They would have had me back in a heartbeat, 100%. Just get home. That's all my mum and dad used to say. Just get home. Come home now. But I needed this for me. The business isn't going anywhere. We're going to grow. We already are. In the last 2 years, we've done more sales than I did in the last 6 years because I've got me again. Yeah. The business will thrive.
Yeah, I said that to a consultation yesterday. It's just like, I'm not working on the business. I work on myself and the business grows because I work on myself. Yeah. I don't think many people know that. The more work you do on yourself, the more opportunities arise.
100%. You're not firefighting anymore. Yeah. You love it. Yeah. We do things now in the business that I've never done before, and that's working. So we keep going with it. I make my own decisions. If I want to take a risk and take an opportunity, I do it. There's no hesitation. I'm not at fault of anything. I'm not doing anything wrong. But I think going back to what you said at the beginning, I need to speak more. I need to tell people the story of it, because that's how it will thrive. When people actually realise that there is an issue here and we need to fix it, or you're going through something and you need support with your health, there's an option. There's always an option. And even if it's something we cannot do, we'll always tell you how or where to go or what to do. Just because if somebody needs something, you should help them. It's just basic.
It's slick, your operation, you know.
Do you like it?
Yeah, it's really, really professional, mate.
Yeah,
really
thank you.
professional, from booking on the website to coming down and then greeted by the girls on the counter, and then coming and sit. It's so this is in Bolton. I know. Listen, I love Bolton. I'm not calling Bolton right, but you've got it's almost like a London clinic in Bolton, and I'm like, wow, fucking. I walked out, and I was just like, fucking, that was good.
Yeah, I'm glad you had that experience.
Yeah.
I do love it when
I've
people
not
come
told
in.
you before, and I wanted to tell you. I thought this was the right opportunity to tell you.
Yeah,
but
makes
it's
me
smart
feel...
when you walk. Apart from look, I keep talking about the roller shutters being down, but I know you do a lot of stuff in there, and obviously you don't want people walking through. But yeah, as soon as you walk through, mate.
I think next year especially we will be open more. We've got things planned for next year, new services that I can't mention just yet, but new services that are coming to Bolton that are really exciting. And actually, I deliver the training, I run the business. I've got a fab team that I couldn't be here without. But if I'm working away, I deliver the training and I go away, so I can't open. It's not safe to just have one person in the clinic. Yeah. So we're not as open as we'd like to be, but we do. Our book a blood test service is nationwide. People buy the blood test, we send it out to them, and they book into a clinic near them. We've got fab relation, 8 or 9 clinics now across the UK that will do your bloods no matter where you are. So it's not just Bolton. So a lot of my time I do travel around a lot, and also I'm at home with the kids. So that will never sacrifice. I just need more team members. That's how I'll change it moving forward.
That's how you will change it.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to book in for a blood test or they want to find out more, where do they go?
Bookabloodtest.com. So anybody that wants education on phlebotomy, the phlebotomycentre.co.uk, but any health related, bookabloodtest.com. And that's the thing that we'll be focused on in a lot next year.
Social media?
Yeah, hopefully with your help.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing I'm really terrible at. Yeah. It's hard being, when you must know
just
yourself.
fucking get the right people around you, Ollie. It's as simple as that. People you can trust, people who are going to fucking elevate you and call your bullshit out and just...
There's the word though, trust. I've never let go of it.
Yeah.
I haven't grown where I want to grow because I haven't been able to trust in people. Now I have it. So you take over. You handle my shit now. You do the social media. You do everything.
No,
and
we'll train somebody up.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Beautiful, mate. And that trust, I think, what you're saying, it's like something I've come to let go of. Micromanaging fucking everything.
That's
letting
been a big issue.
Team that I've got do what they need to do. And,
it's huge because it's your baby.
Yeah.
You want it in your mind. You've got a vision for it, but it's very hard to show a group of people what that vision is. And if you're lucky, and you've got the right team around you, 100%. And I've noticed that in the last 2 years, I've got a fantastic member of staff, and she just gets it.
Yeah.
And that collaboration has meant that things that I wasn't doing right before, or wasn't doing the way I wanted it to go, she's helped that, and she's a massive part of that.
Yeah. Trauma bonding team, trust issues, big trust issues, trauma bonding team.
Yeah.
And it affects business. Get rid of that fear, trust.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just letting people come in. There's that many opportunities, I've done business opportunities that I've pushed away because I thought there's something wrong with this person, doesn't feel
that's
right.
exactly it. Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking hell, some of the biggest clients now from me letting go of that shit.
Really?
Yeah.
It changes everything, doesn't it?
Come in. Obviously, they might have fear, they might have some bearded tattoo guy in front of them. They're not being their true selves. But I can read they're not being the true selves. Yeah. So I think, there's something wrong with this motherfucker. Yeah. So I'm not going to do business with them, or push them away, or not answer her. Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah. So I'm not doing that anymore.
I've felt sometimes when we've had opportunities come in that have not been... Maybe I'm not as big as other people, so why would they choose me?
Yeah.
But now I realise that's a load of rubbish because I'll never be as big as other people if I don't just take the risk and agree to it and get them involved. But I've got a couple of really good partners now, some of the biggest labs in the UK that we have such a great relationship. I think my strength is that relationship building. I would much rather have a partnership.
Yeah, you know what, mate? You're such a good communicator. You know that really is your strength. Your communication's fucking... You know that as an you're an educator, right?
love
And
it.
it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Communication.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just need to do more of that.
Yeah.
And where do you do that? On social media, on podcasts, and just kind of get the fucking word out, because, you know what I mean?
It definitely helps. Some of the best partnerships we have is people that we have a relationship with. Yeah. But I need to switch to that more corporate side. You know, the business, we need to get contracts in. We need to... But that's not as natural for me, so that's where I fall down.
But you need to do that.
Well, I don't know now. Now you've just said that back. I don't know.
You need to be in front of them people and just be yourself. The thing is, you're not turning up. Well, you are turning up, you're just not showing up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one.
I
love a good saying.
Yeah.
Ones that I can't actually get out. I love the fact that I paused before it as well. I thought this quote's going to be really good.
Yeah. And Tim's going to do a clip from that, and Phlebotomy Centre is just going to go viral.
And the quote was just this big alphabet. It didn't quite work, did it? I'll remember it one day. I'll maybe let you know what it was. No.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Goodbye.
Tim Marner, what, you're ready with the best. Tim Marner, what, you're ready with the best. Tim Marner, what, you're ready with the best. Tim Marner, what, you're ready with the best.